Brian, that the team hasn't held up its end of the bargain, even though they're making some changes upstairs to try to improve the attendance?
Oh, I think maybe the first 7, 8, maybe 10 games. But I think drastically lately there's been a big change. I think the players have come around. And it's just a matter more of getting to know Bob Gainey and Bob Gainey getting to know the players. I mean, it takes a little while. You just don't come into have a new CEO of a business and change the business around automatically. It takes a little time, and we've gone through the adjustment. Now you're going to think you see a better team.
General Manager Pierre Paget, your coach last year, coming in here tonight with Quebec. Dave Chambers, former assistant coach, their head coach. Plenty of incentive. I guess you want to prove to him that your record isn't indicative of how the team really is.
Well, definitely you want to go up and prove to them, but we want to prove to our fans even more and to each other that, you know, we are a better team. It's just going to be interesting whether we're going to be able to hear Pierre screaming from the press box or not.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us. Good luck. Okay. Brian Bellows of the North Stars, just 3 wins for Minnesota and 3 for Quebec. So one of those teams will be a little bit better than the other after tonight's game. And, oh, we've got the new scoreboard with the beautiful big screen TV in it. That's debuting tonight. And, yes, a dance team even. The Electric Stars will be performing here tonight. Mark?
There's the replay screen. Thanks, Scott. And the North Stars beginning, hi there, a 5-game homestand tonight. They shut out Quebec last week. We'll have highlights, of course, again.
The best it'll ever look right there.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be right back.
From the hills and villages of northern Italy come delicate, creamy-tasting sauces. And from the warm climes of southern Italy come hearty tomato sauces. Now all these pasta dishes, each only $4.99 for a limited time, can come to you, but only if you come to Italy or Perkins Family Restaurant.
The Minnesota Vikings have excused Donald Igwebuike for a sufficient period of time to allow him to handle personal matters. The Vikings wouldn't comment any further on Igwebuike's indictment. The media weren't allowed to interview any management, coaches, or players after practice. And coming up later in sports, we'll have the NFL's response and show you some not-so-impressive stats for the new Vikings kicker. We can tell you this. One player told us Jerry Burns addressed the team after practice and said that Igwebuike is still being paid. He's not going to be playing this Sunday, and not until this trial situation is cleared up. So we're looking at a couple months, not at all this season, it would seem.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Well, in other news, Governor-elect Arnie Carlson spent the day flying around Minnesota. Alan Cox is in St. Paul now with that story. Alan?
Cindy, the governor-elect wanted to thank some of his supporters outside the Twin Cities, and he wanted to smooth a few wrinkles in the transition to his administration from the Perpich one. Carlson denied a comment by an advisor that all Perpich appointees will be dismissed. Carlson said he may be about to face a $1 billion shortfall in the state budget, and he said he wants help from the Perpich team. Carlson even suggested that he would consider keeping Revenue Commissioner John James and keep...
Did issue an extremely short press release on the Igwebuike indictment, a one-sentence statement that simply said Igwebuike was excused for a sufficient period of time to allow him to handle personal matters. The NFL's response didn't really go any further. Here's the league's 2-sentence statement. The Minnesota Vikings have informed the league that Donald Igwebuike has been given a leave of absence to deal with his personal situation. The league believes this is an appropriate action under the circumstances. I asked the league spokesperson why the NFL didn't come down with its own ruling on Igwebuike's status as a player.
That's an issue for the commissioner, and this just happened. He was just indicted. So this is what the Vikings have decided to do, and after the commissioner reviews this, he may have something to say about it.
And a statement from the commissioner could come as early as Monday afternoon, but no sooner, according to the NFL. And with Igwebuike on a so-called leave of absence, Fuad Reviz will be the kicker on the field for the Vikings this Sunday. He kicked off last Sunday against Denver at the Metrodome. This is his 5th year in the league after sitting out last year. He hit 74% of his field goals in 4 seasons with the Dolphins, and this season, the Chargers cut him loose after he hit just 2 of 7 field goals. Well, as we reported last night, Vikings defensive tackle Keith Millard is seeking help for a possible reliance on a prescription painkiller. Millard issued this statement through the Vikings, quote, "I had major reconstructive surgery 5 weeks ago, and while in the hospital recovering, I was on major pain medication. Over the past 5 weeks, I've had a hard time dealing with the physical pain without medication. I was concerned and have voluntarily sought to have the situation evaluated." The Vikings had no further comment. High school football, the state quarterfinals tonight. Apple Valley has spent a week preparing for Elk River. There are traditions at tournament time, and some Apple Valley players have gone with facial hair, but just some of them, mind you.
Yeah, the thing is we can't shave till we get to the dome.
All the team?
All those of us who do shave.
And they're all big games tonight, but perhaps the biggest, unbeaten and defending champion Burnsville at unbeaten and #1 rated Anoka. Stillwater's at Edison, also in Class A, Fridley at Lakeville. Just some of the games we'll cover tonight on our Prep Sports Report. Well, Gopher football coach John Gutekunst still won't say who his starting quarterback is for tomorrow's game at the Dome against Michigan State. Scott Schaffner will probably get the call, although Markel Fleetwood appears sufficiently healed to see some action. The Gophers won the Axe last week against Wisconsin, but they could win a bowl berth with a victory tomorrow. Could that pressure just get the Gophers a little too uptight?
I'm not concerned that they're going to be over tight. If they're over tight, then it's because they're playing scared. If they're playing scared, we don't have a chance to win. So I don't think that's going to be the case this week at all.
And the Gophers have reason to believe in themselves despite being 15-point underdogs. Last year against the Spartans, the Gophers led at 7-6 going into the fourth quarter in enemy territory, East Lansing. But the Spartans got 2 touchdowns and a safety in the fourth quarter to win that game 21-7. Game time tomorrow at the Dome is 1:30.
Right.
And they need that one to head into a bowl. And then they've got a couple tough ones after that as well, Michigan and Iowa, so it doesn't get any easier. And I couldn't grow facial hair in high school. How are these players doing that? I want to know.
That was a great line, yes. Those of us that shave. Thank you. We'll be back to wrap up the Friday 6 in just a moment.
Bounty means never having to say, I'm sorry. So sorry. Even for the worst bills. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Bounty's quicker and thicker than any other national 2-ply paper towel. Bounty, the quicker, thicker picker-upper. Bounty means never having to say you're sorry.
Presenting the London Fog Wool Coat.
My coat is made of wool.
Very abbreviated. And other than that abbreviated press release, the Vikings said nothing about the Igwebike indictment today on heroin charges. No coaches or management types would talk, and players were off limits to the press. But Jerry Burns brought the team up to date in the locker room today. According to lineman David Huffman, Burns told the team that Igwebike will still get paid during his leave and that he's still a Viking, while the team awaits for the outcome of the trial. And Burns said Fuad Reveiz will kick for the Vikings in Detroit on Sunday. Reveiz was already on the roster, signed to get deeper kickoffs last week against Denver, and he was successful, reaching the goal line area fairly consistently. Reveiz hit 74% of his field goals in 4 seasons with the Miami Dolphins, then spent the last season on the sidelines. He hit just 2 of 7 this season before being cut loose by the Chargers in San Diego. Well, the Wolves set a record tonight, and here's how they did it. Pooh Richardson's learning how to score more within the tight parameters of Bill Musselman's offense. And rookie Felton Spencer controlled the low post tonight. He did the intimidating inside. Bob Stein loved it, and the food. And even though Tony Campbell led the team with 26, he can share it with style behind the back to Pooh. The Wolves walk all over Charlotte, 106-77. The 29-point win, the largest margin of victory ever for the Timberwolves. Elsewhere tonight, WCHA hockey, the Gophers beating UMD in Duluth, St. Cloud State, a loser at Wisconsin, and in the third period, North Dakota leading Colorado College. Well, it is a huge game for the Gopher football team tomorrow against Michigan State. But is it crucial enough that the Gophers could be wound too tight? Coach John Gutekunst says no. He thinks his team will be ready to go and not overhyped for this one. A Gopher upset could put them in a bowl game. They kick off their attempt at upsetting the Spartans at 1:30 tomorrow at the Dome. Well, St. Olaf coach Tom Porter says it's time to leave after coaching 32 years at St. Olaf College. He's retiring. The Oles lost their finale 21-6 in the Metrodome to Hamlin. The Pipers' Jim Saltness broke this one loose. Today is Dome Day for the MIAC, and the finals had Hamlin beating St. Olaf, Bethel getting nipped by Carleton, and in the third quarter, Gustavus leading tonight over St. Thomas 20-7. And we'll be right back with highlights of the high school football state tournament action next on Prep Sports Report.
Here in St. Cloud, Minnesota, the folks, like Rich here, who raise golden plump chickens, have a thing about cleanliness. Some say to a fault. We have over 30 inspections, 5 times as many as the government requires, so you get a cleaner, healthier chicken. It's more work, but to us, cleanliness is next to godliness. golden plump, raised by Minnesotans the best way we know how.
Presenting the London Fog Wool Coat.
My coat is made of wool. Wool from London Fog. You heard me right, don't have a fright. It keeps me warm both day and night. It's wool.
Number 1 rated and unbeaten Anoka playing host to unbeaten and defending state champion Burnsville. And they came in mass to Pumpkinland tonight, and the Tornadoes were ready to play. They continue to pass the test of champions, too. Mike Haney beat the Braves to the corner. Anoka has a balanced attack. They can run with Haney and Mike Runnick, and they can pass it as well with Brent Parent and Jeremy Lorich. The duo has been deadly all season. Tonight, they hooked up through the airways for a 49-yard score. Anoka sets up a date at the Dome for the semifinals. The Tornadoes beating Burnsville handily, 29-8, and an upset in Brainerd tonight. Cretin-Durham Hall falls to Brainerd. Walsh, no touchdown passes. Brainerd threw a pair, winning it 12-10. Well, Elk River is big, maybe not that big, but it was the Elk size against the speed of Apple Valley tonight in Elk River. But the Elks showed some of their wheels of their own on this punt return. Junior Andy Nordine, who caught a long touchdown pass tonight, got the wall of blocking he needed down the right side. None of the Eagles could catch him until he reached the 18-yard line. And from there, the Elks moved in. Senior quarterback Matt Jones scored twice on the ground tonight, twisting in here. The Elks blow out Apple Valley. Elk River will meet Brainerd in the Class AA semifinals. Edison tried to ring Stillwater's bell, but no chance. The Pony Express galloped through the second half, leading 13-8. That's Brian Kokendorger breaking this one. The Burley back busts it, and see you later. George Thole always has an abundance of backs that can break him, and he usually has a quarterback that can run like a running back, too, and such is the case with Brad Orn. He outran the Tommy defense for 6 years. The Ponies in the finals this year. They'll meet Anoka in the semifinals. Next week in the semis, they beat Edison tonight handily in that one, 36-8. Well, Class A Lakeville has been the favorite over the past 6 weeks, but Fridley has been peaking. The two met before. A crazy crowd in Lakeville. Fridley didn't just beat the Panthers, they dominated them. Mike Hermanson grounds it out. Paul Sapansky and Blaine Perrault combined for 5 touchdowns. The other one came when Terry Martinson hit Jason Lindquist. A perfect pass. Fridley anything but friendly, eliminating Lakeville tonight, 45-14 on Lakeville's field. And Delano beats Detroit Lake 28-10. At Farmington, the Tigers met Blue Earth in another Class A quarterfinal. John Kane provided the hometown folks with something to cheer about, going in for 6 here. No one in his way, but the boys from Blue Earth were up to the challenge. Eric Lawatch hits Chad Anderson, and Blue Earth held on for a 14-12 win tonight, and will meet Fridley at the Dome. That's next Friday at 5 o'clock. And Sartell blanked Virginia in a battle of unbeatens, 37-0. In the B quarterfinals, it was De La Salle shutting out Deer River, and Waterville Elysian Morristown loses 13-7. Elsewhere, it was Byron tonight winning at Laverne, and Frazee Vargas beating Holdingford tonight 26-18. Harmony loses in 2 overtimes to Southland Adams, and Ogilvie beats Browerville 24-16. Elsewhere, Little Fork Big Falls an easy winner, and Argyle wins over Albrook 34-12. And Ellsworth beats Richland Center in the Wisconsin State Finals of Division III. Congratulations to Ellsworth, the state champions there. And the boys' state gymnastics meet is going on this weekend. That is in Robbinsdale. 8 teams vying for the title in team competition. That's actually all the teams in the state. Individual competition goes on out there tomorrow afternoon. They work just as hard as the football players, if not harder.
Right.
So, thanks, God.
Thanks for joining us. Have a great weekend.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
In today's hotter running engines, wear is a greater problem than ever before. Oil breakdown can shorten the life of vital engine parts. That's why there's Castrol. Castrol provides maximum protection.
Top jobs. We'll tell you why companies feel interviews alone are not enough, and why they go to outside psychologists to match the right person to the right job. You'll also see how they assess personality traits and skill levels, plus sample some test questions yourselves. Please join us for Executive Assessment, a special dimension report Sunday at 10 on Channel 4.
Well, the Gophers playing a very difficult team that almost beat Notre Dame earlier this season, Michigan State.
And should have, by the way.
Yeah.
And out of the window go the Rose Bowl hopes, which were very slim, and any bowl hopes,
probably,
it seems now, after today's game. Gophers coach John Gutekunst kept his starting quarterback decision a secret right up until game time this afternoon, but he decided that since the doctors gave Markel Fleetwood the green light, he might as well start him if he was going to play him at all. And trailing 7-0, Fleetwood showed why his coach wanted him in there. 11 yards on the keeper, and that tied it at 7. But the mammoth Michigan State offensive line took over. Highland Hickson finished off the 61-yard drive by walking in, and the Gophers trailed 14-7. And after a Gopher punt, an 80-yard march by MSU, capped off by a reverse to Courtney Hawkins. He waits for his blockers here. They plow open the path, and then he goes in, and the Gophers trailed 21-7. Now, a field goal made it 21-10 at the half. They honored the Rose Bowl team from 60. Gophers looked more like it in the second half. A decision Coach Gutekunst admitted he'd like to change. He went for a long field goal after a penalty. Well, the Gophers had the Spartans down on the 10-yard line after a punt, but then the field goal try. It came up short. The Spartans got the ball at their own 40 instead of at the 10 and easily went in on a long drive, 60 yards. Enos goes in for the score. Yeah, that 30-yard advantage on the missed field goal really hurt. The Gophers added a score to make the final 28-16 to Michigan State. Now, one Gopher blamed the defense for letting the Spartans march up and down the field in the first half.
I take responsibility for making a couple of plays myself bad. And, you know, us as defense, we got to do better next week. Michigan is a good team, and they're going to do the same thing. Should have run the ball down your throat, point blank.
I honestly think that Michigan State didn't beat us. We beat ourselves when we set ourselves up for key scoring situations. We had mental errors. We had a delay of the game penalty, which would have set us up to win a football game, and we didn't execute right.
Next week, the Gophers are at Michigan, then they close it out with Iowa at home. And those first-place Hawkeyes put the clamps on Ohio State today. Montgomery goes over for 6. It looked like a Hawkeye victory, but in the final seconds, the Buckeyes, Greg Fry, what a passing threat he is, he will hit Jeff Graham. And all of a sudden, Ohio State has a chance to win it from the 2-yard line with just a couple seconds remaining. And Fry goes for Bobby Olive and finds him for the score. Ohio State knocks off Iowa in Iowa City 27-26. The Buckeyes get the victory. Michigan a winner over Illinois 22-17, and Michigan State are now 4-2 in the conference, a game back of the Hawkeyes. Wisconsin loses at Indiana. Purdue blows out Northwestern. Well, in the game in Knoxville, 34-29. The upset of the day was UCLA winning at Washington. Forget the national championship for the Huskies this year the way it looks. 25-22 Bruins. Colorado hammered Oklahoma State. Virginia Tech loses on 2 field goals by Georgia Tech. BYU handling Wyoming right now in the third quarter, and Florida over Georgia 38-7. Normandale won the state junior college championship this afternoon behind Rich Lucas. He rushed for 129 yards and a pair of scores. The Lions roared past Fergus Falls 29-12 to capture that title. Well, yesterday a legacy ended in college football in Minnesota. St. Olaf coach Tom Porter coached his final game. After 32 years at that school and 170 victories, Porter has decided to quit. Mike Max was at the Metrodome when Porter coached that final game.
Going back, Shane. It was the last time Tom Porter would prepare his troops, and there was sentiment. The sentiment of his 2 sons on hand. Both played for the Oldies.
It's exciting, and also it's sad to see it pass, mostly for my father. It would be a dramatic change in the lifestyle for our entire family, because I grew up with St. Olaf football. I participated. I helped him afterwards.
There won't be a next year. There will be a void.
But I think it's like other coaches have said, it's the struggle to prepare and compete. You know, almost as much as the contest itself.
And it's not all sorrow. Gloria, his wife of 36 years, is already planning next fall. And the plans sound familiar.
We will probably go to St. Olaf football games and go up the North Shore for a few weekends, and we'll enjoy ourselves.
On this afternoon, there was little to enjoy. His nickname is Teep, and Teep's last stand proved unsuccessful. but it can hardly tarnish the 3+ decades of commitment to St. Olaf football.
Tremendous career. Good ball. But I'd like to have them look back and say, hey, it was a great experience for me, or a positive experience for me.
We'll all shed a few tears and feel badly here for a while, but that'll soften. Come another season, and you guys will be out back at it. I say, I'll miss you, but get your heads up and be proud of the type of people you are, because in my estimation, you're class people. All right, let's go.
With photographer Pete Melenda, Mike Max, WCCO Television Sports, reporting.
And the Timberwolves have added some beef, trading for a guy who's about 6'10", Bob Thornton from Philadelphia. In exchange, Philadelphia gets a second-round pick that the Wolves got from Philadelphia earlier, so they lose a second for Thornton. And Jim Thomas, a guard, is gone right now. And the North Stars are at home tonight against Hartford.
Okay, I follow all that. Sure.
Thanks, sure, I got that. We'll be right back.
I wonder what they did with Alex for the week.
At MLT, we offer worry-free vacations, so you can leave all your worries at home.
For 35 years, Midas has talked about hardware, mufflers, tailpipes, brakes. Now we want to talk
costly delay of game penalties, in addition to 2 15-yarders, personal fouls, and they wasted a couple of timeouts, too. Michigan State didn't waste any time taking the lead, though. You can see why the Spartans had more than 300 yards rushing last week. Tico Duckett scored from 14 yards out. Fleetwood felt pain in his injured collarbone area, but not too much on this play because no one touched him. As he goes in on the keeper, 11 yards, tie game at 7. Michigan State marched it in to make it 14-7, and late in the second quarter, the Gophers got fooled. When you run the ball well, the reverse usually works. Courtney Hawkins shows patience, stops and waits for his blockers to bulldoze the pass to pay dirt or pay turf. 21-7 Spartans. Trailing 21-10, the Gophers pinned Michigan State deep in its own territory on this punt, down to the 10-yard line, but Coach Gudaswins made a decision he later regretted. He accepted a running into the kicker penalty on the punt, which set up a 56-yard field goal try by Brent Berglund. Well, that came up a little short. The Spartans had the ball then, not on their own 10, but they took over on the 40 and promptly move in for the finishing blow. Dan Eno scored from 1 yard out to make it 28-10. The Gophers managed another touchdown, but they lost it 28-16.
It's a devastating loss for us, but we got 2 more games left in this season, and like I said, we proved that we can play with big teams, and we have 2 big teams coming up, and I think we're going to go out and win a football game.
The Gophers are at Michigan next week, then the finale against first-place Iowa at the Metrodome. Meanwhile, the Hawkeyes in first place, but just barely. Ohio State struck just before the half on the play of the day. Greg Fry throws into traffic, it's tipped, and Jeff Graham gets the gift for a touchdown. A bad omen for the Hawks, too. They led most of the way, but in the final seconds, Fry completed a drive with a strike to Bobby Olive. He extends himself, and it's the game winner, 27-26. Ohio State pulls it off in Iowa City. Michigan a winner over Illinois, and Michigan State now just 1 game back of Iowa. Wisconsin loses at Indiana. Purdue easily over Northwestern. Notre Dame, it's been a season of fourth-quarter finishes for Notre Dame as they win it again. UCLA, the upset of the day over Washington, and Houston hammered by Texas 45-24 tonight. Colorado a winner over Oklahoma State. It was Georgia Tech 6-3 over Virginia Tech, and BYU winning easily at Wyoming. At the Dome tonight, St. John's played Concordia for a share of the MIAC title. Dome weekend for the conference. The Johnnies' Pat Mayhew goes to Todd Foltz 46 yards. But Concordia came back and won this one 30-28, tying St. Thomas for the top spot in the conference. North Dakota State, no problem at North Dakota. St. Cloud State loses at home to Morningside. Elsewhere, it was Moorhead State losing at Southwest State. Winona State, a big loser today to UMD, and Minnesota Morris wins on the road at Bemidji State. Normandale continued its long reign in community college football, beating Fergus Falls for the state title today. John Lucas of Jordan rushing for 129 yards, 2 scores. The Lions win it handily, 26-12. The Vikings are in Detroit and in dire need of another win. They face the Lions and a rookie quarterback tomorrow, Andre Ware, and we'll have you covered right here. Starting at 11 o'clock in the morning, join Herschel Walker, Ralph John Fritz, and Steve Hurwitz on the Herschel Walker Show. At noon, they kick it off, and at 10:35 tomorrow night, Mark Rosen and Scott Studwell will be back for a recap on Vikings Sports Sunday. Oh, the North Stars slashed ticket prices this week, and they also announced they'd give away $250,000 this season at home games. But at least for tonight, the cash plus the jerseys, jersey night didn't do much good, only about $8,500 on hand at Met Center. Basil McRae should get $250,000 for this performance. After all, he landed more punches than Buster Douglas, and he got $25 million. The Stars trailed 1-0 in the second period. Larry DePalma, though, scores on the wraparound. That ties it at 1-1. Later, though, mayhem at center ice. So much fighting, so many penalties. The refs ended the second period early with a couple minutes to go. They sent them to the locker room. Tonight's game, an embarrassment to the term professional sports. Yes, even more fighting in the third period. Yes, bring the kids to show them how the game should be played, right? They did manage to play some hockey, though, in the third period, and it's 2-2 right now after some ejections there. The Gophers remain undefeated as Minnesota wins it up at UMD 6-2, 4 third-period goals for the Gophers, and St. Cloud State hammered by Wisconsin 10-4. It's almost like Minnesota against Minnesota when those two teams meet. Burnsville's Don Granato started things for the Badgers. The defending national champs never quit, sweeping the Huskies in Madison. And the Timberwolves added some inside strength today, trading for forward Bob Thornton. He's 6'10" and has some muscle. He comes from the 76ers. In exchange, the Sixers get a second-round pick, and actually, that's the one the Wolves received from the Sixers for Rick Mahorn. And to make room on the roster for Thornton, the Wolves have released guard Jim Thomas, who knew he was here for just a cup of coffee anyway. Now he's back to the CBA, maybe.
All right, well, big boxing night, okay.
Boxing night on the ice. We'll be back in just a moment.
Well, have you made an executive decision yet?
Oh, of course. Al, this Encore lasagna is delicious. I love the way it's made. So rich, so meaty. I'm going to take some home.
Wait, didn't I tell you that Encore is a 2-pound family-size entree?
Right.
Isn't that too much food for one person?
Right.
Then don't you need a family like mine to help you eat it all?
Wrong.
For tasting more, it's Encore.
I love this stuff.
We won't disappoint you with what we will do. Chevrolet, Geo, Mitsubishi, Lexus. All at the Wyzetta Auto Center, 1 mile west of 494 on 394 Old Highway 12.
The 10 o'clock news continues with Scott Reynolds and the sports.
Well, Vikings got some revenge for a loss earlier this season.
Not that pretty a victory, but they're 3-6. That's what matters.
All that counts.
The first time the Vikings met the Lions this season, the run-and-shoot offense of Detroit shot holes in the Vikings' pass defense all afternoon. But instead of Bob Gagliano, the Lions started Andre Ware at quarterback this time, and his act wore thin quickly with Coach Wayne Fonts. The much-maligned Michael Brim was aware of where Ware was going with that pass. Brim went the other way, an 11-yard return, and the ensuing drive ended in the second quarter when Rich Gannon scored from the 1-yard line, and the 7-0 lead stayed that way right through the first half. Now, to start the second half, the Vikings' new kicker, Fuad Reves, punched one down the middle. A blocker decided to pitch it to Chris Oldham, but special teams madman Brent Novoselsky forces the fumble, recovered by St. Paul's Pat Eilers. The Vikings promptly moved in for a score, or so it seemed. Watch Chris Carter. Does he push? Well, he barely put his hand on the defensive back's back. The refs called it interference. The Vikes settled for a field goal, 10-0 lead. Then it seemed the Vikes defense might gag with Gagliano in the game again. He hit 4 straight passes, including this 15-yard scoring toss to Jeff Campbell. The Vikings suddenly had just a 3-point lead. Less than 2 minutes to go. Gagliano started another drive. Al Noga ended it, stepping in front of that quick middle screen for Sanders. Even Barry couldn't catch him. The Vikings get 4 interceptions on the day, win it 17-7, and Jerry Burns got what he wanted from his former Pro Bowlers.
I like to say that everybody's a big knocker, but it's not true. You know, you got the guys like the Joey Browners and the Dolmans and the Anthony Carters and those kind of guys. They got to make the big plays if you're going to be successful, and I think they made them today.
Mark Rosen and Scott Stedwell standing by for a recap on Vikings Sports Sunday coming up following our newscast. Meanwhile, the Bears keep putting distance between themselves and the rest of the division. Neil Anderson looks like Walter Payton at times, doesn't he? What a hard runner. The Bears in Atlanta exchanged some verbal blows during the week, and today the Bears did the growling. Jim Harbaugh to Wendell Davis. Harbaugh left with a shoulder injury later, but the Bears kept control, winning it 30-24 at Soldier Field. Meanwhile, New Orleans 35-7 over Tampa Bay. Bo Jackson shades the brightness of stardom with a new pair of sunglasses today in the heat in Los Angeles, but Green Bay dulled the day for L.A. just a little bit more in this one, ending the Raiders' 10-game home winning streak. Don Mikowski to Perry Kemp. The Pack is improving as Magic gets back in form 26-16. And it was Miami easily over the Jets 17-3. The New York Giants just keep rolling along. They went out to California and KO'd the Rams. Rookie Rodney Hampton provides fresh legs to spell Otis Anderson. Hampton beating the Rams here for 6. The Giants still unbeaten. They win it 31-7. And the 49ers shot down the Cowboys to stay unbeaten as well. 24-6 tonight in Dallas. Elsewhere around the NFL, it was Seattle beating Kansas City 17-16 on a last-second completion to Scansey in the end zone. Indianapolis over New England 13-10. And it was Denver losing to San Diego, even with Elway, 19-7. Phoenix bombarded by Buffalo 45-14. Well, it was Sunday night mass at the Target Center, as in mass destruction. The Wolves hosting Orlando. Billy Joel's coming to the Target Center later this month, but Felton Spencer just had to be the big shot tonight. And defensively, the Wolves kept putting on pressure. The steal here by Campbell, and then they're moving out on the fast break. Campbell with 24 tonight. And maybe only the good die young, but Orlando died in the fourth quarter. Pooh, it's hard to believe you're only human after that shot. 17 points, 12 rebounds. And even with time winding down in this one, it was still rock and roll to Gerald Glass. The stuff after the miss, he hit double figures off the bench. The Wolves win it by 27. Tonight they might go out and relax and listen to, a Piano Man.
Maybe the Piano Man, yeah.
Bill Musselman told him, I love you just the way you are after the game.
We've had too much. We'll be right back.
Dan Humphreys can be confident that the plant he manages runs smoothly and efficiently with the help of Honeywell control technology. If he weren't confident, we wouldn't be doing our job. Honeywell, helping you control your world.
Not long ago, one of the first Lumina sedans was bought by a family of 5. They said they liked the gas mileage, all the room it had, and they liked the price. Since then, the Lumina sedan has quickly become the best-selling new car name in America. Apparently, a lot of people are winning with
the heartbeat of America. That's
Manly as soon as Monday. Well, they don't call it ground chuck anymore, but stopping Seattle's running game will still be the key for the Vikings on Sunday. The Seahawks rely heavily on newcomer Derek Fenner and also the resurgent John L. Williams.
He's an excellent running back and also a big, heavy running back. And Fenner is the same way for them. Going against two big running backs like that is also a lot like Chicago. And, you know, we have trouble with Chicago and their running attack. So it's going to be tough for us to buckle up and handle them.
Our Vikings coverage starts at 11 o'clock on Sunday with the Herschel Walker Show. The Lions and the Giants play at noon, followed by the Vikings at Seattle. And then, of course, Mark Rosen wrapping it up at 10:35 on Vikings Sports Sunday. In addition to Scott Studwell, Dave Huffman will be joining him for that show.
Very good. Thank you. We'll be back in a moment.
Presenting the London Fog Wool Coat.
My coat is made of wool. Wool from London Fog. You heard me right, don't have a fright. It keeps me warm both day and night. It's wool from
London Fog Wools, now at Dayton's, $239.99 Value Plus.
The average driver puts 12 to 13,000 miles a year on a car. That's Saturday.
Started tonight's game against his dad's team, but saw little action after the opening faceoff. The sellout crowd, however, saw plenty. Hard work by the Gophers in the first period with Grant Bischoff setting up in the crease, and it's a 1-1 tie. Then it was tied at 3 in the third. Travis Richards showed some fancy skating, then some nice timing, tipping in the Trent Klatt shot for a 4-3 lead. The Gophers went on to win it 5-3, handing Northern Michigan its first loss of the season, and the Gophers become the only unbeaten college hockey team in the nation. The basketball Gophers took Ukraine tonight in Rochester in front of a nearly sellout crowd at Mayo Civic, almost 4,700. The Gophers had 6 in double figures, led by Bond, 111-80. Minnesota's now 2-0. Can the football Gophers beat Michigan tomorrow in Ann Arbor? It seems Saddam Hussein has a better chance of winning a congeniality contest. In the past 26 years, the Gophers have won just 3 times. But like Saddam, they don't believe they're doomed.
We feel we can beat them. I mean, there's no reason why we can't. We just have to put our game together and play as tough as we can. It's going to be a battle just like State was, except I think at Michigan now we got to make a few more breaks than we did against State.
The war with the Wolverines begins tomorrow morning at 11:30 on ESPN. We turn now to the high school ranks. The state football semifinals being played today and tomorrow at the Dome. And tonight, a barn burner in Class AA. Brainerd beat Cretin-Durham Hall last week. Tonight, the Warriors took a 14-0 lead on Elk River. Joe Deemer completes this drive, and Brainerd's in the driver's seat, but Elk River rallied to tie it. Then on the ensuing kickoff, here comes a fumble. The Elks' Joshua Holland jumps on it, and the Elks made a final march. It went down to the final minute. Shane Martin takes the handoff and scores the winning touchdown. Elk River advances to the finals. The Elks get the win, 20-14. Class A, beware of Fridley. The Tigers playing their best football of the season. Blue Earth paid the price tonight. Terry Martinson to R.T. Taylor. Nothing but green in front of him to the end of the end zone. Then it was Mr. 1,000-yard man, Paul Sapansky, denting the scoreboard here. He's gone over the 1,000-yard mark 3 straight years. It was 24-0 at the half. And Fridley went on to beat Blue Earth 31-12. Elsewhere, it was Bird Island, Lake Lillian, Olivia District over Byron 14-10. They came from Bird Island, Lake Lillian, and Olivia and beyond to cheer on the Warriors. They won it on a trick play, trailing 10-7. Quarterback Chad Gamarco pitches to Harrier, then becomes the receiver. Gamarco catches Byron off guard, and Bird Island, Lake Lillian, Olivia District, bold for short, moves to the finals with that victory. Early today, Becker showed why it's the favorite in Class C action. But the highlight of the day came on Southland of Adams' only touchdown, a shuttle pass from Derek Fashusta to Troy Gergen. But the gadget play only worked so many times. It was all Becker in this one. Jamie Hossman, the Bulldogs quarterback, runs his way for 6 on this one, and Becker wins it in a blowout. The final was 40-7. Now at 9:30 this morning, the 9-man semifinals kicked off the day. Wheaton made a run at Hills Beaver Creek after yielding 23 first-quarter points. The Warriors' Mark Behrens outmuscles anyone in his path, 218 yards for him. But Hills Beaver Creek put it away on a Neil Bly run. Here he scores from short yardage. The Patriots marched to the finals with a 37-22 victory in that game. It's state tournament time for volleyball right now, and that means it's time for Columbia Heights to shine. The Highlanders, rated #1 in the nation, and this afternoon they knocked off Marshall in the quarterfinals. After losing the first game, a rarity, the Highlanders rallied to advance. Carrie Anderson, their outstanding setter, scores this point, helping them advance to tonight's semifinals. And in that action, 3-0 over St. Paul Johnson, an easy victory for Columbia Heights to move into the finals tomorrow against either Lakeville or Moorhead. That's 2 games apiece right now at the Met Center. The finals, Columbia Heights against one of those teams at 11:30 tomorrow morning. Class A, Stewartville met Mankato Loyola this morning in the quarterfinals, and out to the Crusaders in 3 straight. Junior Laurie Howard provides the point here, moving the Tigers into the semifinals. But Stewartville there loses to Winnemac tonight, 3-1, so it's Winnemac in the finals against Perham. Perham 3-2. Actually, it's Tracy Milroy winning that one. That's backwards. Tracy Milroy moves into the finals, beating Perham 3-2. They'll play tomorrow at the Met Center. And the University of Minnesota Aquatic Center, the site of the girls' state swimming meet. Roseville sophomore Tammy Grills entered the 200-yard individual medley with the top time, and she won her heat. Although without the top time this time. The finals are tomorrow. Woodbury is leading Apple Valley in second and Hastings in third. And sophomore Katie Owen set a record in the 100-yard breaststroke, helping Woodbury jump to an early lead in the team competition, and more records could be coming. It's a fast pool. We'll be back with more in a moment.
Farming has always been a hands-on kind of business, but the makers of Counter have changed that. Introducing new Counter Lock and Load, the outstanding performance of Counter in convenient returnable containers. When locked onto specially fitted John Deere Maximerge hopper boxes, each sealed container opens automatically. Just lock it on, and it loads. Protect your crop, yourself, and the environment. New Counter Lock and Load.
Please join us Monday at 10 on Channel 4.
Well, the Gophers actually led at halftime, but they couldn't do it in the second half.
Now it's just Iowa. That's it. One more to go at the Metrodome. And the bowl game, no longer, I would say. The Gophers played their best football of the year, though, in the first half at Ann Arbor this afternoon in front of more than 100,000. After recovering a fumble, freshman Mark Smith found a gaping hole, and he made the perfect cutback. Before the Wolverines caught him, He had the Gophers' longest run from scrimmage this season, 43 yards. A few plays later, Markel Fleetwood ran the option, and from 5 yards out, scores his 5th touchdown this year. Gophers lead at 10-7, and that held up at the half. But Elvis Gerbach got the Michigan offense shaken in the second half. An easy 11-yard score on the swing pass here to Jared Bunch. Michigan moves ahead 14-10, and later in the third quarter, the Gophers picked off a Gerbach pass, but on their very first offensive play, Fleetwood's pass was behind his man, and after the juggling act, Lance Doughton held on for Michigan. Goodbye ball game. Gerbach continued to look great. 10 plays later, a perfect alley-oop pass in the corner to Derek Alexander. He beats Frank Jackson, and it's 21-10 Michigan. In the fourth quarter, Wolverines running back Ricky Powers added to his big day by bouncing in from 5 yards out. The Little Brown Jug stays put in Ann Arbor. The Gophers fall to 5-5 and lose all hope of going to a bowl game. Illinois a winner 24-10 at Indiana. Elsewhere in the Big Ten, Purdue and Iowa are playing right now, and Iowa is crushing the Boilermakers 38-9 in the fourth. Michigan State wins in a tough one at Northwestern, and Ohio State blows out Wisconsin in Madison. Penn State rallied to tie Notre Dame at 21 apiece after trailing 21-7 today. But you know how the Irish get those last-minute wins. It didn't happen today. The Irish falter at the last second. After an interception, Penn State gets a field goal from 34 yards out with just 4 seconds to go. The Irish can forget a national championship this season. Penn State wins it 24-21. Colorado over Kansas State 64-3. Elsewhere in top 20 action, it was Georgia Tech beating Wake Forest. Brigham Young comes back and beats Utah, and Florida douses Kentucky 47-15. St. Thomas upset Wisconsin Whitewater 24-23. That means the Tommies will advance in the Division III playoffs to play Central of Iowa at home next Saturday. The key to the Tommies' win, more than 200 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns from Gary Treadle. The senior running back has done it all this year for the Tommies. Mike Max explains.
His size is far from intimidating, but his numbers are. Gary Treadle has set 30 school records at St. Thomas, rushed for 3,000 yards the past 2 seasons, and capped it with a conference crown this fall.
After last year's season, I didn't really expect to do quite as well, and thought teams might shut me down a little bit more, but we had a good offense and good line, and we were pretty balanced, so they gave me the ball quite a few times, and it was a fun year.
Perhaps the most amazing part about Treadle's career is that when he came to St. Thomas University, he had no visions of playing football, period. In fact, he didn't even go out for the team in his freshman year.
I thought I was done with football for life, but it's a sport where you can't play it anymore, and no organized sport after college or, that sort of thing. So I just got hungry for it again and had to give it a shot.
And that decision is one he will never regret.
It's been the best time of my life. Especially this year, it's more than I ever expected it would be.
Mike Max, WCCO Television Sports, reporting.
Treadle has a year of eligibility left, but he won't return. He'll graduating in accounting in June, and he'll get married in August. High school football state semifinal action continued at the Dome today. Class A Sartell struck quickly on Delano. Craig Sauer hits Mark Olson, and he loses the Delano defense. And right now, it's Sartell beating up on Delano 21-7 in the second quarter at the Dome. Anoka and Stillwater go at it tonight to see who will play Elk River for the AA title next Friday. De La Salle gave the ball to Charles Maddox, and Frazee found out that his press clippings are indicative of his ability. Maddox ran for 180 yards. He scored twice today. De La Salle easily advances to the finals in Class B with the win over Frazee 35-7. Monoma a winner 44-22 over Ogilvie, and Argyle a 9-man wallops Little Fork Big Falls 34-6. The state and the nation's #1 rated volleyball team lived up to its billing this afternoon. Columbia Heights won its second straight title. Many people thought Lakeville would have a chance, but the Highlanders swept them in 3 straight games. That's 4 titles in the last 5 years for Columbia Heights. 3 games straight, and Tracy Milroy had a tough time in the Class A finals against Winnemac, winning it 3-2. Girls swimming action has Apple Valley in first over Woodbury and Rochester John Marshall. That's going on at the Aquatic Center out at the University of Minnesota. And it was a sellout crowd at Mariucci last night, watching the Gophers hockey team remain unbeaten. Grant Bischoff out front pokes home the rebound against Northern Michigan, and he had a couple of goals. A 2-2 tie turned into a 5-3 win for Minnesota. Those 2 teams facing off again tonight. 7 o'clock, we'll have highlights at 10.
Great.
All right.
Okay,
good.
thanks. We'll be right back.
Listen up, everyone. 20 years ago, a young student visited this newspaper's first career day. And he was so enthusiastic, I thought, with a little encouragement, he might make a good newsman. So now that he's our new city editor, I want to make sure he never forgets how he got his start.
Get pushed out of the way. Michigan leads the Big Ten in rushing with nearly 270 yards per game, but the Gophers did give the Wolverines a dose of their own medicine in the first half today in Ann Arbor, controlling the ball for nearly two-thirds of the half. Thanks to a solid ground game led by freshman Mark Smith, he rambled for 43 yards on this carry. That's the longest carry by any Gopher this season. And it was just a few plays later that Markel Fleetwood decided to keep it himself on the option, his 5th touchdown of the season, and the Gophers had a 10-7 cushion at halftime. But then an Elvis took over. Not in blue suede shoes. This one wears black spikes. Michigan quarterback Elvis Gerbach hit Jared Bunch for a score. The linebacker who should have been there got blocked perfectly on the play. Michigan led 14-10. Gerbach wasn't through. His prettiest pass of the day finished off the Gophers right at the edge of the end zone. Derek Alexander, 21-10 Wolverines. The Little Brown Jug stays put in Ann Arbor as the Gophers fall to 5-5 and out of any bowl consideration. 35-18, the final at Michigan Stadium. Illinois a winner at Indiana, 24-10. Oh, next up for the Gophers to finish their season, Iowa. And the Hawkeyes can smell the roses. They've beaten up on the upper half of the Big Ten today. They did it on the bottom part. Matt Rogers to Tony Stewart. The route was on. The Boilermakers get crushed by Iowa. They're heading for Pasadena, 38-9. Michigan State has a tussle but wins at Northwestern. And Ohio State wins in Madison over the Badgers, 35-10. Well, just like your taxes going up, you can count on Notre Dame winning in the last minute, right? Tied at 21 with Penn State. Rick Meyer throws it deep over the middle. Uh-oh, forget the miracle finish for the Irish this time. Penn State picks it off and brings it back to the 19 of Notre Dame. That set up the chance to win it for Greg Thayak. And your taxes won't go down, but Notre Dame did 24-21 on that field goal. The Irish lose it. Colorado crushes Kansas State 64-3 in Miami. Maims Boston College 42-12 down in Florida. And in Division III playoffs, St. Thomas an upset winner at Wisconsin Whitewater. Oh, only a half-full Met Center tonight, but one woman had the right seat, and she won $39,000 in the new Stars Stakes cash giveaway. Easy money for her, and an easy goal for the Blues' Bob Baskin on the rebound, and he gets it in past John Casey, a wide-open corner, 2-0 Blues. The Stars respond. Bobby Smith sets up Brian Propp, and he scores with just 5 seconds to go in the power play, 2-1. But the Blues cruised tonight, a 3-1 lead, and they held on to win it 3-2 at the Met. Elsewhere out at Mariucci in front of a big crowd, almost as big as at the North Stars game, Northern Michigan gets a goal late, and it's 4-4 in overtime. What a series. The Gophers looked headed for a win and a sweep. Tom Peterson scores on the slap shot there. Northern Michigan, though, scored to tie it with 4 seconds left in regulation. That's how it ended. Nobody scored in the 5-minute overtime. The Gophers did take over first place in the WCHA this week, though, by beating them last night. Up next, a busy day of high school tournament action. We'll have it in our Prep Sports Report.
For busy families on the go, making healthy food choices and getting regular exercise isn't always easy. Or is it? Hi, I'm Ann Schieber. Throughout November, WCCO TV will show you how you and your family can take 20 steps to a better diet for life through the eyes of the Thompson family of Crystal. Each week in the 5 o'clock news, we'll monitor their progress. Plus, we'll also provide daily menus and health tips. To receive a free Diet for Life booklet, call 330-9009.
I'll be honest with you, I don't know how in the world I'm going to manage everything.
On the next Sally, calm and collected Deborah Norville gets a little rattled.
Would you trust me? To deliver my baby? I don't know.
She's 6 months pregnant, but she wasn't expecting this.
Your very first baby shower!
We pull the baby wool over Deborah Norville.
You got me.
On the next Sally Jesse Raphael.
Monday morning at 9 on Channel 4. The best sports teams.
CCO has all the great sports, the Vikings, Twins, Gopher basketball, and more. And I enjoy being part of all that action.
The best sports coverage.
Whether we're covering prep sports or local special events, we'll try to capture all the excitement and bring that home to you.
The best sports for you.
Looking for action-packed sports? We've got them all, from recreation type to the great sport of fishing.
The best in sports with Mark Rosen, Ralph John Frist, and Scott Reynolds.
Money, money, money. Where does it all go? Especially these days. And where are you going to turn? Try turning to WCCO TV for Money Watch. It's a series of reports and tips on ways you can be wiser with your funds during these tough economic times. Information on everything from investment opportunities to saving cash at the gas pump. Watch weeknights during the 5 and 10 o'clock.
Stillwater against number 1 rated Anoka. The Tornadoes nipped Stillwater early this season. Tonight, they jumped to a 26-10 halftime lead. That familiar combination, Brooke Parent to Jeremy Loretz. It's worked all year. Then just before halftime, Parent finds another talented Tornado athlete, Pete Roback. That closed it out for intermission and calmed Stillwater's season. 33-10, Anoka cruises to the finals against Elk River next Friday. In Class A, Sartell demonstrated why it's unbeaten. The Sabres jumped to a 14-0 lead on Delano. Craig Sauer finds Mark Olson. He splits the defense, and he's gone. And so is Sartell to the finals to face Fridley. That should be a dandy. 33-13, Sartell demolishes Delano today. In Class B, De La Salle handles Frazee easily, 35-7. De La Salle enjoyed its stay in the Dome so much the Islanders will come back next week. Charles Maddox will be late for basketball practice this season. No one's complaining. He ran Frazee up and down the turf, 180 yards, a pair of scores. He's one of the Metro's best backs, and he'll showcase it again next week against Bird Island, Lake Lillian, Olivia districts in the Prep Bowl. This morning, Class C and 9-man took center stage, and so did the Minoman offense. The tradition continues. The Warriors rolled up 44 points against Ogilvie. Jason Miller, 242 yards. He scores here to open the things. He's not the only offensive weapon. Quarterback Jeremy Oakland may be the quickest to play that position in this year's field. Scores 3 touchdowns. Look at those wheels. Minoman will meet Becker in the Prep Bowl next Friday after beating Ogilvie. The final was 44-22. In the 9-man semis, Argyle's Jason Utrenka put on a show against Little Fork Big Falls. Utrenka scoring 3 times, rushing for 162 yards. Argyle wins 34-6 and will face Hills Beaver Creek. That's next week at the Dome. The winners will all play, of course, Friday at the Dome. Some great matchups coming up as we have the final 5 games to determine the champions in Minnesota. State volleyball, crown them champions again. We could only be talking about Columbia Heights, of course. The Highlanders, rated number 1 in the country by USA Today, swept Lakeville in the finals. 3 straight games. That's back-to-back titles for Heights and 4 out of the past 5 championships.
It's an honor to be here and representing your community and all that kind of stuff. And I think that with the national ranking that we got this year, now this just even makes that more fun.
So Columbia Heights sweeps, and in Class A, Tracy Milroy went 5 games to beat Winnemac 3-2. Tracy Milroy won in an exhausting battle in this one. This was the battle of the small teams, literally. Neither with a player over 5'11" in this competition. And in the end, it was Tracy Milroy taking home the hardware.
Thank you. It's great. It's like nothing else. I can't believe it. We've been, well, pretty much through the whole tournament, we've always had to come from behind, but we just never give up. We're really scrappy, and nobody wanted to give up.
A wild time in the water at the University of Minnesota, and when the splash ended, Apple Valley took home top honors. The Eagles won the girls' state swimming and diving meet at the beautiful Aquatics Center over there, posting a comeback in the finals today, and in the end, edging Woodbury by a mere 5 points. The totals at Apple Valley with 160, Woodbury 151, and Rochester John Marshall close, 151, right in there, 9 points off the state championship total. 1 class in swimming, not Class A and Double A. It's like hockey still is, but who knows how long that'll last.
Okay, yeah, Vikings tomorrow. It's a late afternoon game, right?
That's right, a 3 o'clock kickoff, a big game against the Seahawks in the King Dome. The Vikings win this one, they come home, and they've got Chicago and Green Bay, and they could have enough momentum to maybe win those 2 as well and go 6-6, but it's got to happen tomorrow or the season's history playoffs done.
Yeah, well, Seattle's tough in the Dome, in their Dome, but should be a good game.
Vikings have never won there. They're 0-2 at the King Dome.
All right, very good. Thank you, Scott. Thank you for being with us, and see you tomorrow.